Let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the JSE that just closed. In the Asian markets, we saw very interesting movements there, with the markets, the equity market in Japan reaching new record highs. This as Sanae Takaichi is positioned to become the country's first woman prime minister. But the JSE, starting off coming off from the second day of the trading week with negative sentiment there. Although it did start off on solid footing yesterday, the all share there plunging more than 2%. We are seeing the Resources 10 complex being responsible for that loss, nosediving by more than 7.5%. Of course, we've seen the gold counters, the precious metals, the gold counters and the PGM miners pulling that index down. We are also seeing in the red the industrial 25 that softened by 1/3%, but backing that trend is the financial 15, which has eked out a gain of more than 0.4%. Let's take a look at what is happening in the US markets, and of course that earnings season in a full swing. We did get some numbers coming out from Coca-Cola and General Motors as their profits topped analyst estimates. We do have Netflix earnings coming out after the bell closes. We have also had some economic data with the China's exports for rare earth magnet shipments to the US declining in September for a second consecutive month. A mixed picture on that front, with the tech-heavy Nasdaq being the only bourse in the red, pulling back by almost 0.1%. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, the Dow leading in those gains, climbing 0.7%, and the S&P 500 lifting by almost 0.1%. Let's take a look at the markets across the Atlantic, and we're seeing positive sentiment throughout those bourses there, with the CAC 40 leading those gains, climbing almost 0.8%. The FTSE 100 popping by almost 1/3%, and the DAX up by 0.5%. Let's take a look at the currency scene and start off with how the Rand is doing against some of the major currencies. We are seeing the Rand weakening there a little bit against the US dollar, more than 1% at 17 Rand 40. Of course, previously it had been hovering at around 17 Rand 20 against the greenback. The local unit against the pound at 23 Rand 31, and against the euro at 20 Rand 21. Let's check in on the other currency pairs, starting off with the euro dollar at 1.16, pound dollar at 1.33, and the yen just below 152 against the US dollar.